Hi guys, gals, non-binary pals, and all my friends and folks out there. Welcome back to another amazing Hopes, Loves, Talks show. So, in this category of world building, we've decided to talk about how to make a good character first. Now, what comes into your mind when you think about good? Think about it. If you need more time, you can pause. But if you don't, that's great. Internalizing the word good is, to us, obviously to me as well, when you do something well, it's done, excellently, it is performed and executed very well, it's clean, it's crisp, it's the way that you want it to be, and it's also up to this nice standard. You've done really good on a test, and the whole entire thing is it makes you proud of yourself, of others, and honestly, I think when it comes to putting the word good and then character, which we all know they're people because they have their own personas, they have their own lives together. A lot of people fret, but when we are building a good character, and we're afraid of tropism, the two just don't match up. They just don't align, We talked about the reason for tropism happening last year, and we know that tropism really comes from stereotyping people. And stereotyping people happens because you want to give somebody an overview of who this person is by who they are, what they do, and a few little words that aren't really going into much detail. Very broad, very overlaid. And that's what tropes are. That's what stereotypes are. They're broad characteristics and hobbies of people and things that don't really all determine who the person is at their core. There's no real depth to it. It's just a quick little note to make in your head. A little thing that you can note about that person in passing. Like, if somebody told you that their friend was an absolute nerd, nowadays that would be a little hard to pinpoint down. But with a little more context, you can tell if they mean that they get good grades and that they're also into fandoming, or, they get good grades and they're into computer processing and stuff like that. And no, the two don't have to be combined, but they definitely don't have to be divided at all. Honestly, little descriptive words like that to give you little details on people, which aren't really key details, or just to try and say a lot more without saying more than one word. It's quickly describing things to people. And that's why tropes and tropism just doesn't work. That's what it is. To have an enemies to lovers story is totally fine. And to have a person who you could consider a bit of a nerd is totally fine, as long as there's depth to the character. I mean, what does the character do? What are their actions? What tells you that they are who they are? And who are they as a person without those labels? Who are they really? That's the biggest thing. And that's when we get into character background. Now, when we think of the word background, what do we think about? If you need my time, that's fine. But if you think of background of a picture or somebody's past, their history, their age, their height, their color of their skin, their gender, sexual orientation, their name, where they live, where they go to school, who are their friends. That's how we get depth into these characters. What do they do? Why do they do it? Who are they? Why are they like that? Who are their parents? Why are their parents like that? How did they end up where they ended up? How did they end up here? Who are they in relationship to the main character? Or if they're the main character, who are they in relationship to everyone in this story? How are they going to impact this story? Who are they? What do they do? I mean, it's the basic things in the story that you need to, of course, give your audience, your viewer, but you also have to give yourself as well. Because a name and a general over type or trope or stereotype of who they are as a person isn't really going to help you. You have to build them a story. You have to start from within, just with the character themselves. Who are they? What are they? What do they do? How do they do it? Where do they live? Who are their parents? How does where they live affect their everyday life? How does that affect their hobbies? How does that affect their mind? How does that affect their parents? How does that affect everything around them? When you're building great characters, you have to understand, you must understand who they are, what they do, and really what type of person they are and who they're going to be, who they're going to become. You have to know the final outcome of the character before you write it. Because, no, you don't have to plan X, Y, and Z. You don't have to have a total scheduled out, arc for each one of these characters. And if you do, that's okay. But you don't have to. Don't fret. The whole entire thing about characters is that we have to learn who they are before we can share who they are with the audience. And we have to learn how to relate to them, which we've done before, but we have to see how we do relate to them before we put them on the big screen or we put them on Spotify, which rates out so good as them. We have to figure out what the character's past is like and what they're coming here to do. There's a goal, there's a purpose. This character's got their own agenda. They're living their own life. They do what they want when they want. But the whole entire point is to figure out the who's, the what's, the why's. What the heck is this person? Who the heck are they? Why are they like that? And when did they become like that? Were they ever like this? Have they been like this? Were they like that? These are the important questions that we have to ask about character background. And there are always so many backgrounds and settings, you know? You have the character's environment. You have the character's parents or friends. You've got the character's hobbies, the things that they like to do in their life, and painting this beautiful scene and picture. You've got this character's common customs and all the customs that are culturally accepted in that area being clearly shown to you all at one time. But you have to break it all down first to put the character down into one before you just throw them in to the first line. Because, well, no character by any means is mediocre. All characters can always be more than what they seem to the author and the reader even at first. So you have to take the time to carefully craft and design your character in either way. It could be just sitting down and making a sketch of them, or thinking about their life prior, dancing it out, acting it out, figuring out your character and who they are and what their traits are, and also why they're like that, what society they lived in, where they're going now, how does this affect them now, how does this affect everyone else now. These are the important things in character background that we cannot forget. And when we forget them, and we forget how the character should act and interact with other people. And thinking about it too, characters are just like people. They're just like other living things, you know? If a person came from a less unfortunate family and has made it to being middle class, and you meet them, and you know a little bit about them and their background, you obviously know topics that you rather avoid and conversations that shouldn't be held between the two of you until you get a little bit closer, you know? Whether your coworkers, friends, casual acquaintances. And if there's a person who comes from a upper class family and has kind of been surrounded by the world of people in upper class families, you expect for them not to always understand or maybe relate to some of the issues that middle class people have. And instead of bringing up your differences straight off the bat, you'd rather go and look into your similarities and just have fun with that person. You don't want to fight with that person, and you're not always trying to have a deep conversation with them straight off too. It's the same exact thing here. How are you supposed to act when you're acting this character, when you're writing this character? Who are you supposed to be to them? How are they supposed to see you and other characters? POV, point of view. It's very important, not only in our worlds that we make and create, but also in our world or this world too. Character background, though, is always up to you.